Welcome back to The Explainer. So today we're taking something that honestly usually puts people straight to sleep, financial statement analysis, and we're going to flip it on its head. We aren't just staring at dry math or endless spreadsheets today. Instead, we're treating financial analysis like a diagnostic toolkit. Seriously, think of it like a corporate medical checkup. These numbers, these formulas, they are literally the heartbeat, the blood pressure, the vital signs of a company's true health. So let's dive right in and learn how to be corporate doctors.
Here is our roadmap for the checkup. We'll start with decoding the numbers, check the vitals with liquidity and leverage, test the metabolism through efficiency and cycles, do a full MRI with the DuPont analysis, zoom out for the big picture trends, and finally, look at limitations and blind spots.
Let's kick things off with part one, decoding the numbers. Okay, so this brings us to the absolute fundamental question of this whole explainer. How do you actually measure a company's true health? A financial ratio, at its core, is just one accounting number divided by another. Kind of boring, right? But together they tell a really compelling detective story. But here is the catch. Not every detective is looking for the exact same clues.
Think about it. Different people rely on these statements for completely different reasons. Let's say you're a trade creditor. Your primary concern? Short-term liquidity. You just want absolute assurance that the company can actually pay next week's bills. But if you're a bondholder, you really don't care about next week. You're focused on long-term solvency and cash flow that stretches over years or even decades. Then you've got shareholders who are hunting for profitability, growth, and long-term value creation. And management? Well, they're using all of this data internally, planning future financing, controlling operations, and basically measuring their own performance to see exactly how those outside investors view them.
Moving right along to part two, vitals, liquidity, and leverage. All right, first up, let's check short-term survival. We have the current ratio, which is just current assets divided by current liabilities. A higher ratio, better liquidity. Simple enough. But then we have the quick ratio, also known as the acid test, which actually subtracts inventory from those current assets. Why do we do that? Well, because inventory isn't always something you can just instantly turn into cash. So here's the absolutely crucial takeaway. If you ever see a company with a rising current ratio, but a falling quick ratio, man, that is a massive red flag. It's screaming that their inventory is just piling up and they're probably struggling to actually sell the stuff. Now, to test the company's skeletal strength, we look at leverage ratios. These show exactly how much of a company is financed by debt. The debt-to-equity ratio tells us precisely how much debt is being used for every single dollar of equity. A higher ratio means way more financial risk, sure, but it also means potentially greater returns for the shareholders. Then we have the debt-to-total assets ratio. This gives us a really straightforward percentage of how much of the company's total assets are paid for with borrowed money. Lower ratio, lower financial risk. Let's just take the number 5 for a second. This relates to the interest coverage ratio, which is earnings before interest and taxes divided by interest. If a company scores a 5 here, it means their operating income can cover their interest expenses 5 times over. It's a great measure of their ability to safely meet those fixed, non-negotiable financial obligations. But if that number starts creeping down close to a 1, watch out. That company is literally on financial life support.
All right, section 3, metabolism. We're looking at efficiency and cycles.
You can really think of activity ratios as the company's internal speedometers. Inventory turnover, that measures how fast the company moves its goods off the shelves. Higher turnover, better inventory management. Receivable turnover shows us how fast they're actually collecting cash from their customers. And then total asset turnover simply measures overall efficiency, how well they use their assets to generate sales. Basically, the faster the metabolism, the more efficient the business is running. So let's see how these speedometers track over time through 2 concepts that show up on tests all the time. Step 1 is the operating cycle. This is the entire timeline from purchasing inventory to finally collecting the cash from your sales. But step 2 is the cash cycle, sometimes called the cash conversion cycle. This hones in on the exact time between when the company actually pays cold hard cash for their inventory and when they finally collect cash from the customer. The big takeaway here, a shorter cash cycle means way better liquidity, and it means the company needs far less outside financing just to keep the lights on. That brings us to section 4, the MRI DuPont analysis. Before we can really understand the DuPont analysis, we have to look at the holy grail of shareholder wealth creation. I'm talking about return on equity, or ROE. It's just net income divided by equity. It measures the ultimate bottom line return earned for the shareholders. Naturally, a higher ROE means stronger value creation. But, and this is a big but, if an ROE suddenly drops, or even if it miraculously spikes, just staring at that one fraction doesn't tell us why it happened. And that's exactly where our MRI comes in. The DuPont system completely deconstructs ROE to find the exact root cause of performance. It breaks it down into 3 specific parts. Step 1 is profit margin, which isolates pure profitability. Step 2 is asset turnover, isolating efficiency. And step 3 is the equity multiplier, which zeroes in on financial leverage. When you multiply these 3 together, margin times turnover times multiplier, you get your ROE. It's brilliant, really. If a company's ROE went up, management can use the DuPont analysis to see exactly if it was because they priced their products better, moved their inventory faster, or, well, just took on a bunch more debt.
Next up, Section 5, the big picture, trends. Now, common size analysis is just fantastic because it expresses every single item as a percentage of sales. Let's say sales is 100%, then cost of goods sold is 60%, net income is 10%, and so on. Why do we even care? Because doing this makes it incredibly easy to compare companies of completely different sizes. You can literally take a $1 million local shop and compare it directly to a $1 billion multinational conglomerate, totally apples to apples, to spot any structural differences. It's a huge game changer. We also use something called index analysis. This relies on a base year to instantly reveal historical growth patterns. Think about it this way. If we set 2023 sales at an index of 100, we can immediately see that by 2025, sitting at an index of 150, sales have grown exactly 50%. It completely cuts through the messy, complicated raw numbers and just hands us the clear, undeniable growth trajectory over time.
And finally, Section 6, limitations and blind spots.
Our source material gives a pretty strong warning here. Ratios do not exist in a vacuum. Honestly, looking at one ratio by itself rarely tells you the full story. For instance, companies might use wildly different accounting policies, which makes comparing them super tricky. Then you've got inflation, which can severely distort historical numbers. You have seasonal fluctuations, and crucially, there's a little trick called window dressing. This is when management makes intentional, perfectly timed moves right before a reporting period just to make their ratios look artificially better. You absolutely have to keep these blind spots in mind.
If you're studying this material closely, the source highlights these specific, heavily tested formulas that we've covered today. We're talking the quick ratio, interest coverage, total asset turnover, and of course, the full DuPont ROE formula. Seriously, memorize these. They are the go-to tools you'll be using over and over again in your own financial diagnostics. I want to leave you all with a bit of a provocative thought today. If the numbers look absolutely perfect, what is the story leaving out? Just remember, calculating a formula is only the very first step of your financial detective work. These ratios, they just tell you where to shine the flashlight. It is completely up to you to uncover the real story hiding behind the business. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope you're leaving here eager to put these tools to work.